Thank you. Good afternoon, councillors and staff, and welcome to the April 2026 Cabonne Council meeting. Please be advised that this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed. By speaking at this meeting, you agree to being recorded and live streamed. Please ensure that if and when you speak, you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Cabonne Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. The recording of this meeting will be made publicly available on Council's website. And just a reminder to use your microphones as well, please, councillors. Item 1 is applications for leave of absence. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Rawson. One application for leave of absence from Councillor Beattie, Mayor of Cabonne. Everyone else is here, so I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor O'Brien, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Are there any declarations? Councillor Nash.
For Deputy Mayor Jones, I just have to mention that my daughter is the secretary now of the Mardia, and son-in-law is the president. So I just wanted to mention on item 11 that maybe I should just watch it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Nash. It's not pecuniary, so as we discussed, just you're happy to stay in the room and vote. And it's been noted. Thank you, Councillor O'Brien.
Item 12, the event sponsorship program, the Arts Council Cabonne. I'm the treasurer.
Thank you. Any further declarations? None? Thank you. I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 3 is declarations of political donations. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Nash. Are there any declarations? None to declare. Thank you. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 4 is the Merrill Minute, and I'll move that and table a report. And can I just also acknowledge and thank councillors for attending Anzac Day services across the Shire on Saturday. Is there any further reports? I know Councillor Rawson's tabled a report. Councillor Paul's tabled a report. Councillor Weaver's, Councillor O'Brien's tabled. Councillor O'Brien's tabled a report. Councillor Nash has tabled a report. Councillor Pearson's tabled a report. Councillor Batten's tabled a report. Councillor Weaver.
Yes, Deputy Mayor. I haven't put a report in, but I'd just like to talk about Anzac Day in Canowindra. It's growing. I think it's growing right across the state. But we had about 300 people at the dawn service, which was fantastic. The catapult party for the 11 o'clock service came from the 1st 19th Battalion of the Royal New South Wales Regiment, and they were fantastic young men. The Anzac address was by Lieutenant Colonel Philip McMasters, and he spoke so well and just covered everything, that was of interest to the people, starting right back at our hospital, and talked about the World War I soldiers that are on the plaques up there. And there was approximately 60 wreaths laid, which was fantastic. And the last post was played by a young boy, and I think he's about 13, and his name's Levi McGrath. And he just played beautifully, and I think it's a credit to him. It just made the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Nash.
Yeah, through the chair, I'd just like to mention the Hall Committee at Manildra, who put on a dance for the 100 years of the Hall, and it was a great night, and I did dance the night away. And and then on the Anzac Day, they actually had a plaque, and my name is actually on it, which really gave me quite a shock. But anyway, they did very well, and it was a lovely weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you also to staff for organising our arrangements and flowers. Councillor Rawson, sorry.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Yeah, look, I reiterate what others have said about the Anzac Day ceremonies. I attended one at Tugong, which is a fantastic ceremony, and one at Borinor, which were exceptionally well organised and well attended. And I thank all the members of the community who not only came out, but particularly who went out of their way to organise those ceremonies, which were very moving and excellent ceremonies. I just wanted to point out two more things. One is over Easter, you may remember that the Tom and Lister families were having a major reunion of their families out at OFA over the Easter weekend, and I went out to represent council and the OFA board. And it was a fantastic day, a good day. Lots of people turned up for that to have a look at the obelisk that's there, and certainly there needs to be a lot more work done in the area, but it was amazing the number of people who were out there on the Easter weekend. It was absolutely packed. And one of the points that was made by the members of the families was that OFA is a jewel in the crown for Cabonne and really, really needs to be perhaps marketed a bit more. I mean, that's up to, I guess, the OFA board to be doing that, which I'm certainly preparing to do that, but it's something that we as Cabonne residents should really understand, that it is a bit of a jewel in the crown. And talking about another jewel in the crown, I went on the 16th of April to represent council at a public seminar given at the Age of Fishers Museum in Canoudra. It was an open day, and I was welcomed open-heartedly by all the volunteer staff there, all the staff there. And it was a magnificent day. I thank them enormously for all the work that they do out there, making sure that that museum is well looked after. There were lots of people at this seminar. It's probably 150 people, probably, I think, there. It was Alice Clement, who comes from Flinders University in South Australia with her students. They come across to have a look at Wellington Caves and also to the deposit at Canoudra, to the museum there, and they do some work. They stayed on to do some work on some of the artefacts there. Really highlighted to me that this is not just of local, state or national significance. The deposit there is of international significance. We must be one of the few councils in the world who actually support a museum of that international status. It is of international status. So I just wanted to point that out and thank everyone who were involved.
Councillor Batten.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Just want to endorse the comments by my fellow councillors about Anzac Day and just highlight the involvement of young people at Oberley and Yeovil. Both services were chaired by the principal of St Columba's and also Yeovil Central School. But the involvement of the school leaders, senior and junior, was exemplary. I mean, the theme that Yeovil went to this year was actually recognition of women's contribution in the military service. So when they got to Yeovil, they specifically focused in on Nurse Bullwinkle. I think we probably all know her story in terms of how she survived, a mass shooting of fellow nurses by the Japanese. Just the way that they handled it was just so professional for young community leaders. And it really does show, I think, that Anzac Day is going to be in very good hands for years to come.
Thank you, well said. Agreed. Thank you. If there's nothing further, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 5 is Committee of the Whole. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by councillor Nash, seconded by councillor Pearson. Would councillors like to call any items into committee of the whole? We'll see how we go then. Okay. Thank you. I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Councillors, with your indulgence, I would like to bring forward item 22, the Integrated Planning and Reporting 2026-2027 report. Could I have a mover that we bring that forward to be item 7? Councillor Pearson, seconded by councillor Batten. And just to explain the reason for that is just so it just flows a little bit better that, you know, our IPNR and then those council item numbers following flow out of that. So if everyone is happy with that, I'll put that we bring that forward. All those in favour? Against? That's carried unanimously. So we'll go now to item 22, the Integrated Planning and Reporting 2026-2027. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by councillor Nash, seconded by councillor Pearson. Is there any questions or discussions? Okay, if there's nothing, I will. Sorry, is there? You're up?
No.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Obviously, there's been an enormous amount of work gone into the development of the IPNR suite. Not only our delivery program and operational plan, but also fees and charges, resourcing strategies, our financial sustainability plan, which gives the reasons behind any potential changes in our funding arrangements in future, in ratings and so on. Look, I obviously am very happy for all of this to go out on review to the community for their perusal and hopefully support. I certainly would ask the community to, this time around, pay special attention to the IPNR documents, to learn a little bit more about how councils are funded and how we use the funds. And there's an enormous amount of work has gone into these documents. And honestly, I think that we would like to get some guidance from our community about where we obtain our resources and also how we use our resources. So these are a particularly important suite of documents for the community to get their heads around. So I certainly urge those people who are listening in or watching in to get onto our website, have a look at these documents and understand them, and also provide feedback to us so that we can then incorporate their feedback into any future documents.
Thank you, Councillor Rawson. Is there anything further from other councillors? Councillor Paul? Oh, Councillor Batt. Councillor Batt.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Just want to make a comment in terms of some of the content in here, in terms of, if we look at asset management, pick on that one for a minute. The information contained in all the IPNR reports paint a picture of what is essentially, in my view, a crisis. It's a funding crisis. I mean, if you look at the way that we're operating as councils, there's hardly a regional council anywhere in Australia, not just New South Wales, but in Australia, that's not under financial stress. And if you look at the information that's put here about managing our assets, and you look at where we are in terms of what projecting forward, we're talking about running a deficit in funding to be able to manage our strategic assets, in this case particularly roads, right? If you're only funding 60% of what it requires you to fund to maintain, without even improving, means you're going backwards. absolutely going backwards. That's what this documentation actually shows. It's fantastic to have a system where, through grants, it provides a great opportunity for a poly to come out, take a photo shoot and bugger off. But in reality, it does nothing to support councils to do what they need to do in managing the assets that need to be managed. We've barked on about this. The local government, New South Wales has, and I know ALGA, the Australian Local Government Association has, but it's fallen on deaf ears. Somehow we actually have to get our local politicians in the first instance to understand what, in my view, councils are facing a crisis, and that includes Cabonne Council.
Thanks, Councillor Batten, well said, and you're right, there has been 2 inquiries, a federal and a state inquiry, but we haven't seen any action. And when your rates are pegged at, anywhere around the 3%, 3.5% each year, and the cost of, fuel and electricity and machinery and products continue to rise at around minimum of about 8%, the numbers just don't stack up. So you're 100% right, thank you. Would our general manager? Oh, sorry, Councillor Paul.
I think it's a good report. I'd like to echo what Andrew or Councillor Rawson said, that very comprehensive, very thorough, easily set out, and I really look forward to getting some feedback from the community with this.
Thank you. General Manager.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things to Council. Obviously, first and foremost, our budget is going through with this report for public display. $30.3 million in capital works, so it's a very large capital program that Matt and his team are undertaking, with 17 million of that, as the report states, to transport infrastructure. I would like to point out also that in that budget, you note the Future Ready Financial Sustainability Plan. We have worked hard as a team and come up with a bit over $800,000 in recurrent spending savings due to staff restructures, etc., going forward, which will have been factored into the long-term financial plan, which does improve somewhat, a little bit, our ongoing bottom line, but it also highlights the nature of the hole that has to be filled, that it doesn't change the dial dramatically. We have also got a bit over 300,000 in what we call one-off savings by looking at what's going on this financial year that we can take out of what was originally planned. The Financial Sustainability Plan talks to the methodologies and areas of effort we're going to be doing going forward to ensure our budgetary bottom line continues to improve, but without the major overhauls as outlined in the long-term financial plan. I think it's pretty obvious that there's a lot of uncertainty in the economic environment globally, nationally, as a state and as a local government entity. Staff believe that it's in Council's best interest at the moment to consider a special rate variation going forward, but originally you will see in the long-term financial plan, which was commissioned late last year or middle of last year to start the work, that the scenarios indicate going for that SRV process, what would be termed next year, which is February is ultimately when the application goes to IPART. We've recommended that we have a good conversation with the community and likely look at extending that decision, if you like, to the next year for Council. Whilst we are in a crisis, as Councillor Batten quite rightly mentioned, with all the impacts going, and I won't foreshadow too much of the future report on capacity to pay, it's important for Council to make sure, as best we can, is to understand the environment in which we make such a big decision. And so we'll be obviously reporting back to Council periodically as things develop, and hopefully some stability will return in the not too distant future to make a bit better of an estimation of where we are with that. But I just would commend that all these documents, they're of a high quality that the staff prepared over a number of months, and it's been a big lift for the organisation to deliver where we're at to the council. This summarises it quite well, and that is the way integrated planning and reporting should work. It should be an ability for the council to go forward with a clear set of plans to take to the community, to have them understand. So that just points to my last point, Mr. Chair, is that we are launching into an increasingly understanding campaign built off the back of this exhibition of our documentation for the community to, because as Councillor Batten I think pointed out, and Councillor Rawson's mentioned, that the community may not quite understand our position in a lot of the context. It's a pretty complex beast, our finances, and to fully understand how the rating situation works, how the capital works, what operating deficits are, etc. So we're going to be having a launch of that, and there'll be a Have Your Say page, which we'll be promoting on our website and our social media and every chance we get, to ensure that our community have got a place to go find out information as it becomes available, and there's going to be a fair swathe of documentations to assist, we think, relatively reader-friendly to the, not say the uninformed, but the interested public, but may not be as depth of knowledge as councillors, and then opens up that conversation, a respectful conversation that is moderated, so we ensure that going forward over the next period, that our community understands where council is, and as we've said, we've got to understand the service levels expected of our community given these constraints. So, yeah, that's all I'd have to say, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager. Councillor Weaver.
Yes, I'd just like to say these reports are very comprehensive. A lot of reading, but it's informative reading for those who would be interested in undertaking that reading in the public arena. But I also think thank you to the staff who've put this together. It's been a long time coming, a lot of work's been involved in it, and I think it's a credit to the staff of Cabonne Council that they have this as a presentation to go out to the public. I think it's a credit to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything further? Councillor Paul.
Yeah, just like to thank the General Manager for all that information. It's probably just important that from the floor that we acknowledge that staff have already found $1.1 million worth of savings. So they're doing everything they can there. And again, this document is the first part of a good conversation we're going to have with the community. So thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Nothing further, then I will put that report. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. So councillors, will now move back to item 7, the asset management policy. 6, sorry. Oh yeah, item 6, sorry. Confirmation of the minutes. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor Paul. Is there any discussion? Councillor Batten.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I just want to highlight one item out of the Environment, Innovation and Energy Committee minutes, and also got a question out of the Infrastructure Community Committee meeting as well. One of the things in the Environment, Innovation Committee meetings, and I have to commend the General Manager for his foresight in doing this, we spoke of a textiles recycling trial that had been done in Dubbo. And out of that discussion, the General Manager proposed to his leader that a proposal come to the May meeting of Council that we undertake a 12-month trial of textile recycling in Cabonne. So I just wanted to highlight that and thank the General Manager for his foresight in picking up when I was a bit off the ball as a chairperson, that he picked up on that as the action that come out of that item. So I just wanted to highlight to fellow councillors that that's coming forward as part of our thing of managing our recycling and our waste processes as we move forward. The second one is I've got a question in relation to the showground governance, and I note that Premier Minns has rightfully questioned the cost shifting away from the federal government to the state government in terms of the NDIS. Now, my question here is in relation to the showground governance licence fees. If I'm not wrong, I don't see that we get any real benefit out of this whatsoever. So my question is to the General Manager, do we receive any reimbursement for any of the costs, or is it just another case where you generously subsidise another state government agency in collecting those fees for Crown lands?
Thanks, Councillor Batten. I'll pass that to the Deputy General Manager.
For you, Mr Chair, I think the council has just answered their own question. Council doesn't receive that $600. We just pass that back on to the Crown.
So, as Councillor Paul rightfully highlighted in the previous item we were speaking about, the team here has worked extremely hard to find that $1.1 million in savings. This sort of stuff is just one of those blatant cost-shifting exercises away from the state government to councils, which we have to pick up the tab out of our rates. It's just another one where we need, I think, start to think about, hang on, how do we actually get them to understand that we're not here to subsidise the operation of a government department out of our ratepayers' funds when we're under this sort of pressure that we know we're under going forward?
Thank you, Councillor, and you'll note that we're currently working, as that item says, we're currently working with showgrounds or showground users to put in place licences, and yeah, it's obviously a fee that is passed on to them, and whilst it's invoiced by Cabonne Council, it is a fee that goes directly to the state government. Similar cost shifting happens with our emergency services levy, as you're aware, which comes out of our rates, and we're not able to, on our rates notices, declare that to our ratepayers as a separate item. So our rates notices show that we get X amount of dollars from our ratepayers, but that's not quite the case, considering we have a large emergency services levy bill that comes out of that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Is there anything further from the confirmation of the minutes? I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 7 is the asset management policy, strategic. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Paul, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Is there anything councillors wish to ask or discuss? I'll put that then. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you. Item 8 is the rates and charges hardship assistance policy and debt recovery and management policy. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Poole. Is there any questions or discussions? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I certainly support these going out on exhibition. But the only thing that sort of jumped out at me as being a potential concern was the introduction of item 3 of the hardship strategic policy, introduction of a standardised evaluation framework, and also the item 4 expanding supporting documentation requirements. I mean, I guess I understand the reason for these, to have some sort of a standardised procedure to determine actual hardship. My only concern is whether or not, by having these procedures, how invasive they may end up becoming, whether or not it's seen to be an invasion of privacy in some instances. Certainly, I know we have the experience of the issue just recently with our farmland rating review, the questionnaire, which was deemed by many people to be a little bit more of an invasion of privacy. We're trying to ask questions about people's personal circumstances, their financial circumstances, and that there was a little bit of an issue there. But this one is very, very similar in that sense. People have got to show that they have hardship as a result of this. Look, really, it's really just a comment more than anything else. It's really not. I'm not suggesting any changes. I'm just saying we just need to be aware of that potential. That if we do have a standardised procedure, that we don't have one which is so onerous and so restrictive that people feel that they can't, in fact, open up and explain that they are suffering from hardship.
Thanks, Councillor. I suppose just note, before I pass to the General Manager, who's going to explain a little bit more, is that this policy is really about setting a standard so that everyone is assessed at the same standard, and that we can only really, or council staff, I should say, sorry, can only really assess on the information that's been given by the ratepayer or the person seeking hardship. So whilst we ask for that information, a ratepayer may not be willing to give that to us, but obviously the more information they can give, the better council staff can make a determination to be able to support them. And I'd just also note, because I know there has been concerns, as you've mentioned, around providing certain information to council, that we are obliged to conduct ourselves as by the Privacy Act, and have no doubt that our staff do that with great sensitivity, and would do that into the future if information is provided. But I'll pass to the General Manager.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I'd just similar, but also point out, I suppose, a hardship policy is around obviously getting either more time to pay or taking off obligations or interest, etc. So it's a definite financial ask. I would suggest that as a local government entity, it is not inappropriate to determine the validity of the financial problem, much as the same as in a disaster, etc., that you're asked to provide evidence that you're financially impacted. So whilst there is a line to be crossed with confidentiality, I think providing privacy is respected in as far as inwardly, staff are more than entitled, if someone's coming to say, I can't possibly pay my rates, whereas all the ratepayers are sustaining that burden collectively, that they should provide evidence to justify that, because ultimately it is a situation that sadly some people might try and manipulate, which this is, and I congratulate the Chief Financial Officer for researching and coming up with this much more contemporary, fairer and hopefully valuable for all the community, a hardship policy that gives a bit more, I suppose, parameters for, rather than the previous one, to consider a lot of options, particularly the medical factors and those sorts of things, which we come across a fair bit. So I understand the concern raised, and I understand the concerns raised through the farmland rating issue, but I suppose I understand that people may not want to entrust us with information, but if we are to make decisions, we need as much as we can get, and whatever the person who's asking for us to make a decision, providing with the reason and their privacy respected, I think we can manage it, and we try to stay in step with what is the industry standards of these things as well. Thank you.
Councillor Nash.
Yeah, through the chair, I don't think it's anything different to what you would be asked to supply in any government agency, and as long as it's all kept very, private, I see no problem.
Thank you. Any further comments? I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 9 is a review of Council's rating system. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Poole, seconded by Councillor Batten. Are there any comments? Councillor Paul, you're the mover, yep.
Okay, thank you. Just that I wholeheartedly support this. My personal opinion is I felt that probably farmers have carried the weight of the rates over the way it is currently, and I think a 72% response rate at the 8th of April shows there's a lot of interest. So, yep, fully supportive.
Thank you. Councillor Batten.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I just want to, I think it's important that we actually get it out there into the open, into the public domain, exactly what it says in the second paragraph under the Chief Financial Officer's report, that the report does not constitute an adopted council position, right? That further internal analysis, data validation, community engagement, council's consideration are underway and will be required for any recommendation to address. We don't want people out there going off half-cocked thinking, hang on, we've made a decision that we're going to do this, right? So I think it's important that anybody that's actually tuned into our meeting today or has a look at it in the future accepts the fact that it is not a decision that's already been made.
Thank you. Any further comment? General Manager.
Yeah, and just in line with that, through you, Mr Chair, just a little ad again for the Have Your Say page of council. We will have information on there regarding our rating, possible rating structure changes as we go through this period of time. There's already a fact sheet going to be on there tomorrow, just going through the rates. Rates is a very complicated process, and it's difficult to understand all the nuances. So we're working as hard as we can to make sure the community understands what we might be proposing, and we'll be bringing reports back to council as we go on that process. The report, which is now being tabled, that's attached, was a report done earlier, but we would be looking at expanding on that work and doing a little bit more technical review there's been a hell of a lot of learnings from the CFO and her team just in the last 6 months on going through this process, and we think we'll be well placed to give council some very good information to base those decisions on as we go forward.
Thank you. Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Yeah, look, I certainly support the review. Look, I've got a couple of issues with mention here, for example, in the farmland low intensity consideration. Obviously, this is going to go through a review, and we'll get a chance to really delve into this in a bit more detail. But it's a mention here that farmland low intensity is designed to actually have a higher ad valorem rate than standard farmland, which doesn't, to my mind, doesn't make sense. That areas of land which are low productivity, for example, and therefore low intensity, could be just because they're forested land on very, very poor land, and unable to be categorised or unable to be used for agriculture, would then potentially fit into this low intensity farmland category and be rated higher than areas of land which are able to be productive. To my mind, that's counterintuitive, and there is another possibility of under the current rules we can subcategorise rural lands not just based on intensity of use, but also on some economic criteria set by the Act, and so. And also there was, I think I mentioned it before, that in 2021 the review of, there was an amendment to the Local Government Act in 2021 which looked at rating systems and flagged a potential environmental category, so a fifth category. So there are four at the moment of rural, residential, business and mining, and then subcategories under that, and then there's potential for an environmental. So clearly the thinking behind the environmental one was to identify those areas of land which are used for environmental purposes, conservation purposes, that don't exist within the public domain, that aren't part of national parks or reserves, that sort of thing, but are on private land. They're clearly, the owners are not gaining any financial benefit out of that land from an agricultural sense. And it might be out in places where they're not getting very many council services either in terms of roads and water lines and what have you. So therefore, that land should be rated at a lower level than the rest. Would be that. So that was all. It was just to highlight that fact. I think that we need to get our heads around what these new categories might be and how they're applied.
Thank you. General Manager?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor, and they're good points, well made, Councillor. That therein lies the rub with rating. I think the best comment or statement I've heard by a consultant who helps out with the work is rating is not a neat tax. It doesn't fit clearly on any reason or scenario, and so therefore there's always going to be some people feeling that it may not directly apply to their circumstance. Our job is to try and get that as right as we can, given all those considerations. But I also, clearly, whilst I fully understand the community's view that rates should be deemed as what they get in their services from their council. It's not a fee for service. It's a collective good that goes into the wider council coffers to provide all the services for the entire shire. And yes, some people have the benefit of being in close proximity to a number of our services and using a lot of them, and some are out there in the wider regions that get a road and not much more, to be honest. But we've got to try and work within the parameters of being as fair as we can without, I suppose, the difficulty is also having a rating system which is structurally not that complex, that there's that many categories that there's more than you can count. So, but that's the work to be continued, and we'll bring back and hopefully get ourselves to a position where we're reasonably comfortable with where we end up.
Thank you. Councillor Butt.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I just want to pick up on one of the categories that my fellow councillor spoke about, and that's the less productive land. I mean, and this will possibly come out in some of the analysis that the Chief Financial Officer's team will be undertaking. In terms of traditional agriculture, high input, high output agriculture, yes, that's classified as unproductive. However, some people are just buying those bush blocks, nice little, putting a nice home on it, just sitting out there in the bush, when there's an opportunity where they could actually be turning it into a productive enterprise. And what I'm talking about here is carbon farming. That perhaps we as a council should be encouraging those people to pursue that avenue of income, which would actually influence the decision making. I don't have a problem at all with that less productive land being categorised in the same way as productive agricultural land, where you've got somebody coming and just building a house on it, running a couple of alpacas or a couple of horses. It's the same to me. It makes no difference when there's an opportunity there to actually pursue an income stream that can essentially turn into a productive enterprise.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, I will put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That is carried. Item 10 is assessing the community's capacity to pay. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Nash. Is there any comments or questions? Okay, thank you. I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 11 is the Village Enhancement Fund. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Batten. Is there any comments or questions? Oh, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried, thank you. Item 12 is the event sponsorship program, and I note that Councillor Orion has declared an interest in the first of that item. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor Poole. Are we happy just to quickly split this one up and let Councillor Rawson, Councillor Weaver, Councillor O'Brien come back in for the second part? Okay, so is there any discussion on the first item? No? Okay. If we can probably get Councillor Orion back in, please. Is there any discussion on the second item, the ultimate rock crawling? No? Okay. Councillor O'Brien, did you have anything to add for the ultimate rock crawl? No, thank you. Okay, I'll put that whole motion then. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item 13 is the request for variation to Cabonne Community Assistance Program funding by the Cumnock and District Progress Association. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor O'Brien. Is there any discussion or questions, Councillor Batten?
Just, thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. In moving this recommendation, I'd just like people to understand that this has gone through a rigorous process actually up to community level. With this funding, it's gone back to the Cumnock Progress Association and has been discussed at length about how they would approach it before they then came back to council for approval. So I would just commend that we actually support this submission. It shows to me responsible use of the funds. Now, they could have gone off and just done something with it, but instead of that, they've actually managed it strategically, and it's all about the beautification of Cumnock, which is already one of our most beautiful communities in Cabonne Shire.
Thank you, Councillor Weaver.
Yes, Mr Mayor, Mr Deputy Mayor, I totally agree with Councillor Batten, and Cumnock has shown time and time again how astute they are in picking up and running with something and getting it right. So I give them credit for it. I think it's a great project, and congratulations.
Thank you. Any further comments? I'll put that then. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 14 is the Orange District Pistol Club lease renewal. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Poole, seconded by Councillor Nash. Is there any comments or questions from councillors? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 15, sale of Conley Store. A mover, please. Moved by Councillor O'Brien, seconded by Councillor Nash. Any comments or questions? Councillor Nash.
Yes, through the chair, I just, there seems to be a lot of submissions, so we're going to go through them one by one, or I like the youth idea, but I know that it would be very costly for council to get it up to that state, but how long are we going to sort of look at these submissions?
Thanks, Councillor Nash. So the recommendation is to note this for today is to note the submissions and authorise to progress the sale by getting some other appraisals, etc. I think, having looked at the current the submissions before us today, and also the feedback through social media commentary on the post that was placed up, there is broad support for council to sell or to progress with selling this property. But I'm happy to take or open the floor to if there is an amendment. But at this stage, yeah, the recommendation or the motion on the books is to note the submissions and to move forward. Are there any other comments or questions? Councillor Batten.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I noticed in a couple of them the concerns about the preservation of Connolly Store, the facade and so on. I think we're going to make it very clear that that's actually going to be the case, and any purchaser will be required to do that. But the other thing I just want to question is in one of the, I think it was number 3 of the submissions, the retrieval of the painting by Ted Lewis. I would have thought that was actually council property, so it shouldn't be retrieved by anybody else, but it is retained by council on behalf of the community.
Through you, Mr Chair, we're strictly speaking about closing, with the sale of Connolly Store. If any proponent wishes to seek claim to anything that's in that building, they can do so through separate means, but the first we've heard about that painting is through this submission that's come through.
Thank you. Any further discussion, Councillor Rawson?
Does it exist? If there is a painting in there with the Ted Lewis? Do we know? It shouldn't be sitting away, it's just packed away somewhere. It should be out on a wall.
I'm not aware of any such, but we can investigate it.
Okay, thank you. I will, Councillor Paul.
Yeah, some pretty astute submissions there. I'm happy to support this recommendation and quote, council could kick the old leg irons off and let the private industry make this store what it should be.
On that note, I'll put it. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 16 is the proposed road closure within Road Reserves Lot 1 DP 1102-656, Lot 3 DP 1102-656, Lot 2 DP 1102-656, Lot 1 DP 155601. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Pearson and Councillor Poole second. Any discussion or questions? Okay, we'll progress that to exhibition. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 17 is the 2026 Local Roads Congress. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Batten. Noting that the Mayor is available, we think he's indicated his availability to that. So, yep. So, is everyone happy with that? Okay, we'll put that. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item 18 is questions for the next meeting. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Are there any questions? No questions. I will put that then. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 19 is business paper items for noting. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor O'Brien, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Are there any items councillors wish to call for noting?
I was going to say 4.
Item 4. Okay, we can discuss that.
We don't need to discuss it, just, I was just a little bit horrified, I guess, that these new bank arrangements of the Commonwealth are only for the 4 largest banks and not the whole sector. I just don't, that does not get, I don't get that. So, just means that all the other banks out there, like Bendigo Bank, who are not subject to the agreement that the Commonwealth has made with the major banks, and so they can, if they happen to be the only bank in the area, then they want to leave, they can leave. So it's a bit unsatisfactory, really. I guess was really the comment I was going to make. It's a pity that it's a bit of a blow-off type of response from the government. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Nash.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one. It's also, the fact is that Bankit Post only have a certain amount of money that they're allowed to let out and that they're allowed to have actually in their post office at any time. I know that for a fact because I actually used to be a post mistress. And say you want to put money in ATMs, I don't think people understand the value of being able to go to a bank in a small town and get a lot of money out to go to an ATM. You've got 2 or 3 ATMs in the town, and you have to now go to Orange to get that money. And if you want to have floats, if you want to have $3,000 or $4,000 of floats, the post office might not have that money. And I think that's what they don't understand is the cash part of it. People being able to go and get cash out. This is what they don't understand. It's all right to just do it online. I do it myself, but it's the fact of having an event and being able to get the money, the cash to go to like it could be $5,000. And if the post office is only allowed to give out 10 in a day, they might not have that money. And that's the thing. And I think that ATMs take 20,000 sometimes. Now they have to go to Orange, carry that money into their car and come home. And there's a risk factor to that. And, that's just something that they should be aware of.
Thank you, Councillor Nash. Is there anything further? Okay, are there any other items councillors wish to call? Okay, I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 20 is matters of urgency. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Poole. Are there any matters that councillors wish to call? I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 21 is Committee of the Whole. I know we didn't have anything, but just need to move that, sorry. So can I have a mover, please? Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Poole. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Now go over to that additional report and I'll call item 23. Oh, sorry, everyone got that additional one? Okay, item 23, the grant application, New South Wales Department of Primary Industries and Regional Development, Active Regional Communities Package. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor O'Ryan. Is there any questions or discussions? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I absolutely support this, and I guess the importance of it is that it's designed to link the current Molong to effectively new Molong in the form of the showground. We're moving things like the hockey ground. We've moved the hockey ground up there, and there's certainly a subdivision that's mooted for up that area, and there's no doubt that post the floods we have to think about where we can expand and improve Molong proper. That area has been chosen, and having an appropriate linkage between here and there for foot traffic and for bike traffic is absolutely essential. So I certainly support this application.
Thank you. Councillor Batten.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Totally agree with the comments from Councillor Rawson. I mean, our pedestrian access and mobility plan highlights this as one of our number one or one of our top priorities, and it's been supported numerous times by Molong Advancement Group and other sporting bodies. So I think it's absolutely commendable that we actually apply for this, and with a bit of luck, we might get the opportunity for a grant application and one of those beautiful photo opportunities for the Minister.
Thank you. Yeah, completely agree that but I just wanted to note too that, you know, we're putting this application forward because it clearly does meet those guidelines and does the grant is set out for, and that the design is shovel ready, but we understand that there are going to be further rounds of this grant, and so our other community will have an opportunity down the track that we can apply on their behalf to increase footpaths. So if there's nothing further, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you. That brings a close to our